Right, here's a very rare 5-inch open reel-to-reel tape, volume 1 of the Pattern of Poetry. It was a series of 10 tapes, or 10 LPs that were released in the early 60s for the benefit of UK schools, and it was to support the book of the same title by John Smith. That's the back of the box there. That's the tape on the tape recorder, on the Grundig TK145, and I've got the complete collection of everything related to this subject here. I've got the envelope, but this is a sample letter that was sent out to the schools by EMI Records. This is the envelope, the actual envelope that it was posted in. It was posted to I have a bit of trouble reading in this light. Surbiton High School for Girls, Kingston upon Thames, Surrey, and it was the date was 23rd of March 1963. There we go, in that brown envelope, and there was a letter cum brochure sent with it. It said, "Dear head teacher, poetry can be such fun. But how does one take a class of rather disinterested pupils by its collective neck and shake it into a realisation that poetry can be fun and pleasure? According to Education Equipment, we have found the answer." That must have been a magazine of the time, and we think so too. Following the tremendous success of the new anthology of the Pattern of Poetry, I'll just show you the Pattern of Poetry, that's the booklet. There we go. That's the book there. The Pattern of Poetry, the Poetry Society Verse Speaking Anthology, compiled by William Keane Seymour and John Smith, illustrated by Anne Gillott, Burke, London. And you've got a lovely sort of selection of the best of British poetry in here. It's a lovely selection. Absolutely wonderful book. There was a second book published a bit later, which was the My Kind of Verse, compiled by John Smith, which was really a sort of sister book really to that booklet. But anyway, you had this leaflet sent out. You had a sample record, 45 RPM, 7-inch sampler record. There we go. I'll just go back on this letter here and read it a bit. Now you and your pupils together can hear these poems come alive as they are beautifully delivered by such distinguished actors and speakers of verse as Paul Rogers, Anna Massey, Alec Clunes, Sir Michael Redgrave and others. And as you listen, so the spoken word can be followed from the pages of the Pattern of Poetry. The brief introductory record enclosed with this letter will enable you to judge the value of this exciting new teaching method for yourself. The complete series is detailed on the back of this letter and consists of 9 12-inch LPs at 32 shillings each, or 3.5 inches per second tape records at 35 shillings each. This is a direct selling arrangement with schools, and orders cannot, we regret, be handled if channeled through another source. They didn't want any black market sales of these recordings, it seems. We can also supply copies of the Pattern of Poetry at 7 and 6, each classroom edition, or 12 and 6 each for the library edition. A reply paid order card is enclosed for your convenience. There we go, let's see. Some pictures, that's Anna Massey and Margaret Rawlings, who was an actress and very well known reader of poetry as well. Paul Rogers and the great Sir Michael Redgrave. And that's the back of it. Lovely letterless. And it takes you right through the it's a very rare collection of this series of records, and this one tape which I managed to find fairly recently. I was so delighted to find it. I'd love to find the rest of them. There we go, that's the records. 1. I've got 3 copies of that. If I ever see any, I always collect them. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got more than 1 copy of that as well. I've got several copies lying around in other places upstairs as well, with my gargantuan collection of records. So, just to show you the front cover of this, because we've seen the tape version of it. That's the front cover of this LP, vinyl LP. That's the selection of the poems on it. I'm going to play you this in a minute. I'm going to play you a couple of poems from side 1, which is starting with the New Year, read by Kenneth Ratcliffe, and probably Might Get Hard Frost by read by Michael Dennison. That's his other book, My Kind of Verse, which, as I say, was also compiled by John Smith of the Poetry Society, and it's really the sister book of this series. This is the inscription to somebody who had this book. To Miss Leanne June Ingham, all our best love and wishes from your 2 sisters. Francesca, happy birthday. Your 9th birthday. Good luck. Don't know if there's any illustrations in this one. Oh, yes, there is. There's illustrations as well. Right. Right, I think it must be time to play the tape.
The New Year. The young New Year has come so soon, I wonder where the old years go. To some dim land behind the moon, where starlight glimmers pale and low, and everything is grey and cold. And there they sit, those ancient years, their eyes so kind and dim and old, their faces lined with vanished cares. Their voices rattle dry like bones, the while they talk of what has been, and murmur in their hollow tones of all the triumphs they have seen. While the young year, with earnest eyes, comes buoyant on to run his race, nor dreams how fast his lifespan flies, nor how his end draws on apace.
Hard frost. Frost called to water, halt, and crusted the moist snow with sparkling salt. Now runnels scarcely crawl, and icicles in long stalactites fall, and tench in water holes lurk under gluey glass like fish in bowls. In the hard rutted lane, at every footstep breaks a brittle pane, and tinkling trees, icebound, changed into weeping willows, sweep the ground. Dead boughs take root in ponds, and ferns on windows shoot their ghostly fronds. But vainly the fierce frost in turns poor fish, ranks trees in an armed host, hangs daggers from house eaves, and in their windows ferny ambush weaves. In the long war grown warmer, the sun will strike him dead and strip his armor.
Donnybrook. I saw the moon so broad and bright, sailing high on a frosty night, and the air swing far and far between the silver disk and the orb of green, while here and there a wisp of white cloud film swam on the misty light, and crusted thickly on the sky, higher and higher, and yet more high, were golden star points dusted through the great, wide, silent vault of blue. Then I said to me, God is good, and the world is fair. And where I stood, I knelt me down and bent my head and said my prayers and went to bed.
The snow. A cold fan stirs in the breeze, with the clouds showing cut-out edges, thick, sullen gold and solid, and a fluttering, clean, cold scent, prickle of ice in the air, tells of the first small shapes, whirling, noiseless, dazzling feathers of white on the mountains, lace of the frost in the glens. The clouds pile up in peaks, fabulous tracks and ledges, mirages of the true ones, where pageant of snow prepares for winter's sharpness, to deck the forests with a strangeness of glittering chandeliers, in a silent loneliness. No one has seen the snowflakes yet, but they make their coming felt in the fluttering, strange, sure smell of snow in the air.
Snow. The white flower of winter, in the night alone, in the month of purification, has quietly blown. The white rose of winter, petal-flaked, serene, at the muted early awakening, is dazzlingly seen. The white maid of winter, she turns her calm face from the sun and his hasty ardour to the moon's slow grace. With her soft robes of stillness, her gentle lips dumb, the grave maid of February is stealingly come.
Winter from love's labours lost. When icicles hang by the wall, and Dick the shepherd blows his nail, and Tom bears logs into the hall, and milk comes frozen home in pail, when blood is nipped and ways be foul, then nightly sings the staring owl, to-whit, to-whoo, a merry note, while greasy Joan doth keel the pot. When all aloud the wind doth blow, and coughing drowns the parson's saw, and birds sit brooding in the snow, and Marion's nose looks red and raw, when roasted crabs hiss in the bowl, then nightly sings the staring owl, to-whit, to-whoo, a merry note, while greasy Joan doth keel the pot.
A boisterous winter evening. What way does the wind come? What way does he go? He rides over the water and over the snow, through wood and through vale, and o'er rocky height which the goat cannot climb takes his sounding flight. He tosses about in every bare tree, as if you look up you plainly may see. But how he will come, and whither he goes, was never a scholar in England knows. He will suddenly stop in a cunning nook and ring a sharp larum, but if you should look, there's nothing to see but a cushion of snow, round as a pillow, and whiter than milk, and softer than if it were covered with silk. Sometimes he'll hide in the cave of a rock, then whistle as shrill as the buzzard cock. Yet seek him, and what shall you find in the place? Nothing but silence and empty space, save in a corner a heap of dry leaves that he's left for a bed to beggars or thieves. As soon as 'tis daylight, tomorrow with me you shall go to the orchard, and then you will see that he's been there and made a great rout, and cracked the branches and strewn them about. Heaven grant that he spare but that one upright twig that looked up at the sky so proud and big, all last summer, as well you know, studded with apples, a beautiful show. Hark! Over the roof he makes a pause and growls as if he would fix his claws right in the slates, and with a huge rattle drive them down like men in battle. But let him range round, he does us no harm. We build up the fire, we're snug and warm. Untouched by his breath, see the candle shines bright, and burns with a clear and steady light. Books have we to read, but that half-stifled knell, alas, is the sound of the 8 o'clock bell. Come now, we'll to bed, and when we are there, he may work his own will, and what shall we care? He may knock at the door, we'll not let him in. May drive at the windows, we'll laugh at his din. Let him seek his own home, wherever it be. Here's a cosy, warm house for Edward and me.